What's up, YouTube? You've tuned into Soul Politics. I am Aaron James, and today's topic, I want to get into something that is important to all of us, and that is money. We simply cannot live without money in the society that we have created for ourselves as human beings. It's become as fundamental as air and water almost, I would say. Although you cannot eat money or inhale it, if you don't get it for very long, your life is going to be in a pretty bad place.
This is a graph of the unemployment rate throughout modern history. Here is the average unemployment rate at about 4.5%. Here is the unemployment rate after the dot-com bubble burst and 9/11. That was at about 6%. Here is the unemployment rate during the financial crisis of 2008. That was at a whopping 10%. And here is what Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said could happen to the unemployment rate at some time this year. It is reported that the Senate and US lawmakers were warned of a 20% unemployment rate that could be coming in the near future. This would be the highest unemployment rate since the worst parts of the Great Depression. And if you don't believe that this is going to happen, well, we are already seeing signs that it is.
This coronavirus fiasco has put all of us and our entire society and way of life, the capitalist West, and China as well, even though they like to call themselves communists or whatever, they're partaking in the same game that we are. I mean, every country is in the system in that sense that no country can arbitrarily or individually just say, we don't partake in your money system, we don't need it. They'd be out on an island and they wouldn't be able to get any stuff. And so every country participates in this global capitalist system. So I'm not passing judgment on that or making commentary on that per se.
Which stage of capitalism is it where we sacrifice our elders for the good of the stock market? Now, let's be clear. These people only care about the drop in their stock portfolios and their inability to have their every whim and desire met at the second which it occurs to them. While working America would head back out to be on the front lines interacting with the potentially infected, these folks, they'd be just fine.
It's really hard to have any historical perspective on this because there is no history like this one. We have decided to shut down almost everything, and economic commerce has slowed to a halt, and a lot of people are starting to feel the pinch. It's been about 2 weeks now, at least for nearly everyone, where they have recommended us to stay in.
This is from The Guardian. Many companies aren't paying their workers or extending health insurance benefits or offering severance in the case of layoffs or reduced schedules caused by the pandemic.
It's already affecting my pocketbook. Here in Los Angeles, things are more expensive than they are in other places, say in Kansas or South Dakota. The cost of real estate is more expensive. The cost of food is probably more expensive. The cost of gas is more expensive. The taxes are higher.
When you're shutting down Los Angeles for a month, just the staggering amount of people that are going to be in debt, and there was some number that we looked it up recently of the amount of people that live check to check. It's crazy. It's like half of America.
The average American, the stat I saw was that they cannot absorb an expense outside of the normal over $400.
Right. That's gone. That's already gone. So already most Americans are fucked now just with this dip. And then they're talking about extending this to April 19th. I don't know if they have a plan. I don't know how they're going to buy their way out of this. Like, what do you do? How do you help those folks?
There are some plans in Congress and with the Trump administration to try to take off, to try to help people supposedly with these huge financial burden that is now coming towards us. And I haven't been following every single machination of it, but I've been sort of like checking in daily to see where they're at with this stuff. And I can see that there's a lot of fighting on this, but the numbers that they're even talking about are almost irrelevant for someone like myself. And I'm not rich. I am firmly middle class for Los Angeles. And to be middle class in Los Angeles with a family of 4, like I have, you have to make at least $100,000 a year. At least that. I mean, that is like bare bones to pay for your mortgage, all the taxes, 2 used cars that we operate, both of our cars are nearly 20 years old. We're raising these 2 kids. I was paying for a daycare nearly nearly $800 a month for that for our youngest one. Our oldest kid goes to public school now, so that was free. But there's just so many things, and food is a huge one. Food costs, food and groceries, we're dropping, $2,000 to $3,000 a month every month. And so the bills, they don't stop coming. And they're talking about, cutting us a check for maybe $1,000. And actually, I found out that I probably won't even qualify for a lot of these programs, because even though I'm firmly middle class by Los Angeles financial standards, apparently I'm going to be making too much money, because they're not differentiating between someone who lives in South Dakota who can get by making $20,000 a year, or certainly live a decent lifestyle on $40,000 or $50,000 a year, compared to out here in Los Angeles, where the cost of living is roughly double. And the same goes for places like Boston, New York City. All the major metropolitan hubs are going to be more expensive than places in the middle of the country. And yet these programs make no differentiation. And so you're going to see a lot of people falling by the wayside and just losing everything, losing years and years of savings in a few months. And then when they do turn the economy back on, you're going to see all these deferred rent bills come due, and all these deferred credit card bills, and all these deferred mortgage bills, if we ever get to that point where they're allowing us to defer our mortgage. These deferments aren't helping anybody. They're just pushing the inevitable fall off the cliff down a bit. And so once all these bills become due, no one will be able to afford them, because they will have been out of work for so long. And so I don't know what the answer is. Donald Trump now is pulling an about face from what I saw today, where he's now considering trying to get people to go back out and start working within a week or two or three or something like that, which goes completely in the face of everything we were just told by him, including just a few days ago, and contradicting all intelligent medical advice that I have read by qualified people. And I understand why. Because the economy is falling off a cliff. We're all the whole ship is going overboard.
But the truth is, what DC and Wall Street are offering is a false choice. They would have you believe that the only options are to starve or to take your chances with coronavirus. They'd have you believe that's the only choice, even as trillions were instantly freed up to feed the stock in the bond markets. They would have you believe that your only choice is starve or coronavirus, even as they move heaven and earth to make sure that essential national industry of cruise lines is made whole. It's bullshit. And we know it's bullshit because we can look around the world and see that while working people in other countries are, yes, also experiencing pain, it is not nearly the absolute calamity that is facing Americans right now. Country after country has responded with programs to make sure that payrolls are maintained.
You can't go half-assed on something like this. You have to go all the way, or don't even go all the way at all. But Marco Rubio, hardly a liberal, he tweeted that he thought that you're not going to be able to have a normal economy anyway if you have tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands, or potentially even a few million people die in a 1 year period. And on top of that, but forget the dead people, just put them to the side, okay? You're going to have 10 times that number hospitalized in ICU for a long period of time. And then you're going to have even more people just regularly super duper sick. And so you think people are going to be going out and spending a lot of money anyway, terrified that they're going to catch this plague-like disease, when they're going to be seeing on their televisions the hospitals full, all the horror stories coming out. This is not China. They're not going to be able to contain the bad news. If anything, the horrible news will be made to seem even worse in this country, because that's just the sensational nature of our news media. And so I don't have any answers for you guys. If I was in charge, I would say that some very intense form of direct help for regular consumers is the only thing that can get us through this, because people are just going to fall right off the cliff. You guys thought 2008 was bad? This is going to make 2008 look like a blip on the radar.
If they put half as much time and attention and care into bailing out workers as they do into the stock market, we'd all be able to get through this just fine. But, and here's the catch, all those measures for working America, they may give away the game that the government actually can effectively secure economic rights for our citizens. And crucially, all those worker protections and supports might not actually do that much to boost the stock market, since people would still be at home, not shopping or flying or staying in hotels or gambling in casinos. The only thing that gets the stock market going again is for things to go back to normal. That's why these people aren't calling for bigger worker packages. They're calling for everyone to get back in the game, risking their health and taking their chances that they'll be one of the lucky ones who gets the ventilator when they fall ill, all for the sake of getting that stock market back up.
The sad reality is the politicians are not going to save you. We are pretty much in this on our own. I hope all of you have a nice fallback plan. It's a really good time to be close with your family, because you might end up living with your mom pretty soon, is what I'm basically trying to say. Of course, there's some corporations who've come up with a great plan for their employees. What, continue to pay them without hours? No. Not that, of course. No, one example is Delta Airlines is encouraging its employees who are now going broke to take out a huge line of credit.
So that's how corporate America addresses a crisis. It's like, how could we make money?
They're basically trying to enrich themselves. They have enough money to basically start what amounts to be a bank. That's what a credit card company is. It's sort of bank. It's giving you loans and you have to pay it back at interest, and that's how they make buku bank. That's why there's so many high rises with bank names on them and not taco shops. Because banks make a lot of money. Credit card companies make tons and tons of money. And if 2008 is any example, what I anticipate happening is people with a lot of money scooping up property and goods and services at cut rate deals as a lot of people lose their life savings. That's basically what happened in the 2008 crisis, especially with real estate. I actually got lucky. My family, we bought our house in 2012 when the market was towards the bottom, at least as it applied to regular folk who have to get a mortgage. People who were able to shell out cash were picking up houses at pennies on the dollar from 2009 and 10 and 11. And for any of you who recall, it was really, really hard to get a loan for several years there. And I got married in 2011, and in 2012, my family helped me out and gave me a little bit extra cash to get in to a very affordable fixer-upper here in the Valley in Los Angeles. We got it for around $300,000. And if you know the real estate prices around here, you know that is a steal. I mean, I felt like some sort of financial genius, because a few years later, my house is worth double. We've made out like bandits, although we'll see what my house is worth in about a year from now when the shit hits the fan from all the things I've been talking about. When all the bills become due, it's going to be a problem, and it's going to push prices down, I would imagine. That's sort of the way economics work, if I understand them at all. Money, money, money. What are we going to do about money in this country?
California has 40 million fucking people in this one spot. It's so preposterous.
Yeah.
And there's so much poverty. There's so many people that we're barely hanging on as it is, and now they're off the cliff and they don't know what to do. And there's no real protection set in place now to keep them from being evicted, I don't believe. Unscrupulous landlords, people that have been looking for a reason to get rid of these people in the first place. Fuck, man. Who knows? Who knows what's going to go on?
What are we all going to do? What are the tens of millions of working Americans going to do who don't have months and months of savings to get through this? And even if you have a lot of credit like I do, this is going to sting for a long time. And I don't know when my particular industry is going to get back up and rolling. You can't edit videos when nobody is shooting videos. And so that is a little bit of a catch-22 for me right now. I could probably work from home if there was work, but I've been asking around and there is nobody hiring right now in Hollywood. So now I'm interested to hear from you guys. If you are in an industry that has been affected like mine has, I'd like to hear about it in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. Once again, this is Soul Politics. My name is Aaron James. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.